Good evening, Bruchim Habayim Rabotai. Welcome to another edition of our Thursday night's class. Tonight's class was sponsored by Chaim Akilof and family. L'ilui Nishmat Moreinu Rabbeinu Maran Rosh HaYeshiva Rabbi Lezer Menachem Man Ben Arav Eliezer Zecher Tzadik Ben Arav Eliezer Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh V'Chas Zchuto Yagen Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael. Amen ve'amen. Maran Rosh HaYeshiva is Kipshuto. That wasn't an exaggeration. He was the rabbi of Klal Yisrael, the Gdol Ador, who in one way or the other one, Ben Arav Israel, obviously, sorry, the whole, if today today there's frum Jews in the world, a lot of it is because of his influence that fought the trend of times against all odds and built the Lama Yeshivot together with the Ponovich Rov and the Chazon Ish and Azak Dolei Israel. It's been 18 years since Maran Rav Shach passed away. This is a very sensitive subject to so many Jews that knew him well, and a very sensitive subject to somebody like me, who as a young teenager got to know Rav Shach and benefited greatly from him on a very personal, intimate level. It is also, that was today, Tet Zayin Cheshvan. Yud Zayin Cheshvan, which is tonight, meaning tonight and tomorrow, is the yahrzeit of a man who's less known. But if you want to know more about his life, there's a beautiful book that came out a bunch of years ago in Israel. It's called Tzadikim Nistarim Bizdmanenu, the hidden tzaddikim of our generation. He was a great Ashkenaz rabbi. He was actually Breslov, whose name was Rav Binyamin Ze'ev Cheshin, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Levacha. He was my Rebbe's father, who the Sephardic Jewry owes him his life, because way before Kiruv existed and organizations and charity campaigns and events and inspiration and all this other stuff, this great tzaddik, who was a Gaon Olam and Nigla and Nistar and one of the masterminds of Kabbalah in history. And he was a legend in Kabbalah, that we can relate back hundreds of years ago probably. Used to go to different towns that less religious Sephardic Jews lived in, and he would give speeches. And he would talk to them in their language, on their level. And he started what today we call Kiruv. Without him, there wouldn't be such a thing. And without him, I don't know if any of us would be here either. Because the Sfaradim were considered second class around the world, unfortunately, for many, many years. Chacham Ovadia changed that, obviously. But before that, there was the truth. I'm going to say something that I feel embarrassed to say, but this is the truth. When I got into yeshiva in Israel, and I learned in Kol Torah, which was considered an open-minded yeshiva when it came to this subject, there was what was called in Hebrew a michsa, a percentage of how many Sephardi students they would accept. It's just like Lehavdil today, how many learning disabled students they accept per class, there's laws about. So how many Sephardi students they accepted in the yeshiva, it was like rules. So some yeshivot was 2%, some yeshivot was 4%. Kol Torah was like the highest, it was 10%. Today it already changed completely. Number one, the Sfaradim have their own yeshivot that are better than all the yeshivot out there. But even the Ashkenaz yeshivot, thank God, understood that they have to change their ways. But years ago, that's the way it was. And I'm not blaming, and I'm not talking bad about Jews, chas v'shalom. I think a lot of it came from an innocent thing, that there was nobody there to help the Sfaradim when they migrated to Israel. And the Tzionim, Yimach Shemam, they came with their agenda to erase Judaism from the Sfaradi Jews. Just look at the stories of the Yemenite kids that came to Israel, that they cut their peot off and made the men cut their beards, because otherwise they wouldn't give them food in the kibbutzim. These are things that we heard about the Nazis, Lavdil. There's no way to explain this in words. They literally stole Judaism from the Sephardic Jewry. So there were a few tzaddikim that gave their lives to reverse that. Rav Shalom Shvadron, for example, later on was one of them, and Rav Shav Seidulevich, and many others. So tonight is the Yomad Ilulah of Rabbi Binyamin Ze'ev Cheshin Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Levacha, Ben Arav Nechemia, who was, there's no words to say, a Gaon Olam in the biggest way. In Nigla and Nistar, and the biggest thing, he was a Gaon in being Nistar, in hiding himself. It's only when, even I, as a student, a Talmid Muvak for 23 and a half years, of his son that was so close to him, knew almost nothing about him, because his sons, it was in their DNA not to talk about their father. Because they knew their father didn't like being spoken about. It was only when I came across this sefer that was put out about the Tzadikim and Nistarim of Yerushalayim that I found out a little bit of a glimpse of what a Gaon Olam is. My youngest son is named Binyamin Ze'ev, Baruch Hashem, L'Avdil Ben Chaim L'Chaim, Shibadel Chaim Tovim, and named after him. This is a Gaon Olam. So the Zchut of these Tzadikim should stand for us. As I wrote in a message on my groups, Maran Rosh Shiva ZTZ Rav Shach said over in his tzava'ah, wrote in his tzava'ah, you don't say over in your tzava'ah. I want to quote it. I took a picture of it just so I should have it to quote. I think I posted it as well. I'm reading obviously only a few words from the tzava'ah, but then you see the importance of this shiur tonight before we start. V'chein ani mevakesh. Remember, this is Rav Shach, the Gaon Olam, the Gdol Ador. Nobody knows exactly how old he was when he passed away. Wikipedia writes 102. They're not reliable on that because I can very easily prove by documents that I have that he was older than that. But it's somewhere in the vicinity of 103 on the lowest end, possibly to over 110. Rav Shach did a lot to hide his age because he was scared of Ayin Hara, and as a result, he used to always minimize how old he is. He was 97 in his world for many, many years. I remember 10 years that he called himself 97. So that's why I think he probably was around 107 when he passed away. But it's different. Well, it doesn't make a difference, but over 100 years old. Rav Shach started learning when he was 3 years old, that we know about. Could be even younger, but we know 3 years old. And he learned until his last breath of his life. Tell me who in Jewish history, or definitely in the recent years, we could say about, well, Rabbi Yashiv is pretty similar, honestly. Besides for these two Gdolei Olam, just by default, because most of them didn't live that long, sat and learned 100 years straight Torah B'iyun, non-stop. If we could say about ourselves that we learned 45 minutes tonight straight Torah, we walk home with our egos in the sky. He learned 100 years straight Torah B'iyun, and that's the low estimate. If I'm right that he was 107, that's 104 years straight that he learned Torah B'iyun. This is unheard of. This is, and it's no pele that we call him Rabbeinu Agadol, Maran Rosh HaYeshiva. He was the Rosh Yeshiva of the whole Am Yisrael. Whether you learned by him or not, whether you passed away after he was born or not, it doesn't make a difference. He was the Marad de Kula Atra, the rabbi of the whole Klal Yisrael in every way, shape, and form. Now you would think that somebody like that, and soon I'll show you that he did say about himself things that had to do with Gan Eden, at the end of his life, realizes, I had a productive life. I built thousands of students, hundreds of thousands of students. I was the Gdol Ador. I did everything right. I'm going to the highest place in Gan Eden. I'm set, no? That's what I would feel, I'll tell you the truth. Listen to what Rav Shach writes in his will. V'chein ani mvakesh. And behold, I'm asking. Mikol eilu hatalmidim, from all my students. And students doesn't only mean that you physically studied by him. That you learned from his Torah or benefited from it, which includes all of us. Hayodim shekiblu to'elet mimeni, that know that they got any benefit from me. Hein b'Torah, whether it was through the learning of Torah, v'hein b'irat Hashem, or in Yirat Shamayim, that the Yirat Shamayim got stronger, v'hein b'midot, or in character traits, they better their character traits. Rav Shach used to speak about all these things. Listen to these words. Shiyasu chesed imadi, that they should do a favor with me. He's like begging for favors. And soon I'll explain to you, this was the man who never accepted a favor from anybody if he didn't have to. V'yilmedu be'ad ilui nishmati, and they should learn for the merit of my neshama and shamayim. And then he goes on to say, and listen to how important it is to do even the tiniest mitzvah ilui nishmat somebody. Afilu mishnah achat, even if it's only one mishnah, that's already going to be a benefit for me. And even less than that. O machshava achat shel musar. One thought of musar, of I got to get better. I got to strengthen my Judaism a little bit. I got to do something better in the right direction. Machshava achat shel musar, what is that? A tenth of a second. A blink. That's the chesed that he's asking for. V'haya zeh schari. That's the way you're going to pay me back. That's going to be my reward. Why? And listen to what he writes. This is unbelievable. It's every time I read it again, and I read this many times throughout the week, every week, for 18 years straight already, my heart is filled with emotion to see the Gdol Ador, the father of Klal Yisrael, what he writes. Ki gam ani masarti et nafshi la'atzlachatchem, because I was willing to sacrifice my life for you to be able to grow in Torah and to succeed. Bilimud, in learning of Torah. And then he writes a promise. And this is unreal, and this is what shows why, we like mystics and sgulot, so here's a sgula, it's free. V'im yeh bi'adi, if I'll have a chance, it's fun, Shach saying, v'im, if I'll have a chance, like as if there's a question involved. La'asot u'la'amlitz letovatchem, to do something for you from Shamayim, or to advocate for you in heaven, to be your lawyer in simple English. E'eseh bli neder, I will do so for you. You know what happens? Rav Shach makes you a deal. He says, Mishnah achat, one Mishnah, or for a girl, one Perek Tehillim, $1 to charity. You did it L'ilui Nishmati, for the Ilui of my Neshama. You did me a favor, I'm going to pay you back a favor. You know what that favor is? In Gan Eden, I'm going to go to Hashem in Kisei HaKavod, and I'm going to talk to him on your behalf. I'm going to be Mamlitz Tov. If I came to you today and said it'll cost you a couple $100,000, but you could have Rav Shach take care of all your issues with God, people would sell their house. They'd sell the shirt off their back to do that. And hey, you don't got to do anything. Learn something Leilu Nishmat Rav Shach. So tonight, anybody who came to a Shiur Torah that was dedicated Leilu Nishmat Maran Rosh HaYeshiva Zatzal, this is Divrei Torah that we're going to say from him Bli Neder. So we're doing a Tovah Leilu Nishmato. We're doing a favor in his memory. So bevadai, all the mishtatfim in the shiur, Rav Shach is going to be a mamlitz tov on them in Shamayim. He's going to be a melitz yosher right away in Shamayim, because that's what he promised in his tzavah. And now listen to how he ends off the tzavah. This is a priceless shiur, no? It's a good one. It's a good one to come to. But then he ends off with words that we should learn a big musar from. This should be our first machshevet musar tonight. Utfilati. And my prayer is, if I stop you now and say, what's your prayer today? So one's going to say that I should get married. The other one's going to say that my enemies should bug off. The third one's going to say that I'm sick of the IRS. The fourth one's going to say that I should make more money. The fifth one's going to say that my wife should stop being a pain. Each one's going to say something. Some will say all of the above. That's more or less our prayers. The majority will be money oriented, and one directly or indirectly. All our prayers somehow have to do with money some way. Everything we pray for, money, 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 money. And it's funny, as much as they have, we still pray for more money. What was Rav Shach's prayer? That's why we're not Rav Shach yet. Hopefully we'll become one day. With tefilati, what's my prayer in life? She'ezker la'amod lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That I shall have the merit to stand in front of God. Achar teshuvah shelema. After I in this world first did teshuvah. And then he concludes, Mimeni, from I, Rav Shach, haporesh michem, that's saying goodbye to you. And here's the key word, be'ahava, with the greatest love. Rav Shach's image in the world was the warrior, the fighter, right? He had his battles with Chabad, he had his battles with other people, in Tafshin Mem Tet, he had his battles with a big part of the Orthodox Jewish communities as well, when he opened dates to split up from what he called Agudat Yisrael. Later on they came back together, but for a while he felt he had to do what he had to do for reasons that we don't understand. He was known as the warrior, the fighter. Watch some of his speeches. Some of them are available on YouTube. The most famous one, Yom Hashfanim v'Chazirim, when he got up and yelled at on national television at all the Israelis. A question that I get up and say open in Israel in every speech. But Ma ata Yehudi, what makes you a Jew? So what's the answer? I live in Israel. 600,000 Goyim Russians live in Israel, and 1.8 million Goyim Arabs live in Israel. So they're Jewish also? No. Besides for the Sudanians and the many others. So that doesn't work. So then they tell you my mother was Jewish. So I love that joke. Okay, and what made her Jewish? Her mother, and her mother, and her... Okay, and what made the first mother Jewish? Years ago, people still had an answer. Today, unfortunately, when I go to the youth in Israel, I don't know. I said, okay, so you don't know, you're not Jewish. Then, sometimes you get lucky. They start trying to answer. Have a Jewish heart. I said, if that's the case, you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. I said, because by the time you're dead, your heart doesn't work, so you're not a Jew, so you won't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. No, if what makes you Jewish is your heart, when your heart doesn't work, so you're not a Jew. So, bad story. So number two, somebody says, this is common, people will tell you, I have such a good heart. Anybody who tells you I have a good heart, this is what you should answer. If you ever need a surgery, come to me, and they're going to look at you, what, you're not a surgeon? Say, what do you mean? But I have a big heart, in my heart I'm a surgeon. type of stupid thing is that? And people that went to college that officially are intelligent will answer you that. Crazy. Simple crazy. Have a good heart. Right? I feel bad for these people. That's why there's so many cardio issues in the US, by the way. Because everybody has a good heart. And they put everything in the heart, and the heart collapses, and that's the end of them. But when there was still a generation that knew a little bit, so you know what they would tell you? My great-great-great-great-grandmother was Sarai Meinu. And I would look at these boys and girls, and with a smile on my face, I would say, I agree with you, maybe. But if that's the case, number one, who made Sarai Meinu a Jew? Besides the fact that it's not simple Sarai Meinu was a Jew. It's Machloket Rishonim if the Avot were Jews or not. But even if it is, let's hold according to the opinion that because it sounds easier to understand that Sarai Meinu. Who made her a Jew? And if your mother makes you a Jew, or your lineage makes you, let's say your lineage makes you a Jew. The Sarai Meinu had one child, Yitzchak. Yitzchak already didn't have one child. Right? Avraham had two, Ishmael also, but from a different wife. Sarai Meinu had one. Yitzchak married Rivka. He didn't have another wife. It was one wife. And he had two kids. They were twins. Yaakov and Esav. Hitler and the Gdol Hador. So was Hitler Jewish? Hitler was a direct descendant of Esav. We have ways to prove that, by the way, historically. So was Hitler a Jew? Very simple question. Oh, so your mother doesn't make you Jewish. So we're back to square one. So what does make you Jewish then? That was Rav Shach's question to these people in kibbutzim. But ma'at yudim, what makes you Jewish? So what's the answer? And there's a Gemara that learns out that God told Abraham Avinu, Ki be Yitzchak yikarei v'chazara. Through Yitzchak Avinu you'll have children and the Jewish nation will start. Yitzchak v'lo kol Yitzchak. Not all of Yitzchak's children, only one of his children. Meaning only Yaakov and not Esav. And on that the Pasuk says, Ahavti et Yaakov ve'esav saneti. I love Yaakov and I hate Hitler. The same Gemara that says that also learns out from the Psukim that besides for 39 melachot and an Isud Doraita to do on Shabbat, there's so many other obligations to keep on Shabbat. So if you want to erase that, then you're not a Jew anymore. You can't erase part of a book and not the other. If the book is right, so stick to it. And if it's not right, so you're not Jewish. So make up your mind. You can pick and choose. Imagine you come to God and say, God, listen, page number 1 I agree with, so that I like. Page number 2, not really, so that I ripped out. Page number 3, I blacked out half. That makes sense? I don't think God's going to send you to hell. He's just going to pity you. He's going to say, okay, come back to the world and put you on psych medicines, and hopefully that will help you. It's a sickness. That's all it is. There's sicknesses of the body. There's sicknesses of the brain. There's a sickness of the brain to think like that. It's just simple intellectual dishonesty. There's nothing to it. It's just dumb. It's outright there. Every first grader understands otherwise. And Rav Shach had the guts to get up in Binyanei Uma with cameras on him from 300 countries around the world, or places around the world, networks around the world, not countries, and to scream, B'ma'atem Yehudim, what's your link to the past? What makes you Jewish? You call yourself Israeli? Israeli doesn't mean anything. I don't know if you know the state of Israel's history, but it was supposed to be in Uganda at all. Could you imagine a Jewish state in some hole in Africa? Maybe we'd be dancing in jungles now instead of in a shiur. That's what Herzl wanted, Yimach Shemo. So, what makes you a Jew? And Rav Shach didn't only say this to the non-religious. The beauty of Rav Shach was he didn't discriminate. He used to tell this to us as Talmidei Yeshiva every single day. What makes you a Jew? He says, if you have a connection with the Torah, fine, but if not, he says, I'm not coming to you to be holy, I'm coming to you to be a Jew, to be the Aleph Bet, just to start. And he said it from his heart with so much love, with so much care, with so much compassion, you couldn't say no to him. I said in many shiurim, I had the zchut to be Maran Rav Shach countless times. I don't want to say a number because honestly, I didn't keep count, but it's a lot larger of a number than is believable, honestly. And not because of me. I was a stupid young teenager. Because Rav Shach felt bad for stupid young teenagers. So he felt bad for me. He pitied me. So I got lucky. I took advantage of it. And I was American, so I was naive. I didn't know that you don't just walk into a gadol's house. So I didn't even knock. I used to walk in. And Rav Shach would never throw me out, right? So by default, I just had open access to the house. And after a while, when he didn't have a gabbai, but his driver and one of his grandchildren once tried to throw me out, he yelled at them. He said, "He's my child. How can you throw him out of my house?" And from there on, it was double open. Every single time except for once. And that once, I was together with a bunch of other people, and that's the reason why I think he didn't do it then. Before I left his house, he gave me 2 chocolate bars. One dairy and one parv. I even remember the colors of the labels. One was red, one was blue. And he would hand them to me, and with a smile on his face, he said, "Take this with you, so you shall have a sweet week." You know what a caring person you have to be? You're the Gdol Ador. When I knew Rav Shach, he was in his high 80s. Mid-80s. An 80-year-old man is busy giving chocolates to a troubled American teenager who's roaming in and outside of his house at least once a week. Every week, with the same speech and the same love again. "Take this with you! Like this your life will be sweet." Today you can't even do that. Because the mothers are going to yell at you. "You're going to pay for the dentist?" But that was the Gdol Ador. Halev rachum v'chanun, a heart that had no boundaries. So let's learn from Divrei Torato what he says. HaPoresh mikem ba'ava. What did he leave us with all this love? So, I believe in showing what I quote from. Tonight I'm quoting from a wonderful, wonderful sefer that was written a bunch of years ago, that even has the Askama of Chaim Kanievsky on it, not that it needs any Askamot, that was written by Avosha Bergman, the grandson of Rav Shach, through his daughter. He wrote many svarim of Rav Shach's Torah. It's called Orchot HaChaim. For the camera's sake, that's the book, Orchot HaChaim, which is in majority direct quotes from his grandfather that he took off of recordings and other things, and things that he heard himself, and notes that he took, and notes that his father took, and many other things. And it's divided in chapters about subjects and that have to do with day-to-day life. I like starting from the beginning, from what Rav Shach felt was the ABC. And the A, before the B and C by Rav Shach used to title 2 words, Chayei HaOsher, living a happy life. I'm not so good in communicating with email, but if anybody ever got lucky that I responded to their email, so you see that on my email, there's that automated signature that you could put in, so mine says, "Have a happy day." That's where it came from. By Rav Shach, being happy was in his blood. If he saw you without a smile, he stopped you, whether it was the middle of the sidewalk, in the street, in the yeshiva, anywhere. Where's your smile? By him, a person, everything was about, and this is the person that we think is the warrior. Right? That was Chayei HaOsher, that was the big thing by him. So let's understand how Rav Shach explains us how we could be happy. He understood life better than all of us. So maybe let's learn from the wise. So Maran Rosh Shiva says like this: the number one thing that people are looking for in life is Osher, is to be happy. He says billions of people throughout from the creation of man until today look to be happy. Each one in his way, in his ideology, whatever it was. And today, I don't know how many people are in the world, but whatever it is, everybody, what's the biggest thing? If you could only have one thing in life, what does everybody want? To be happy. He says, but it's interesting. So many people tried the same thing over so many years, and they all failed. We don't walk around seeing everybody smiling on the streets exactly. I was invited to a conference that I'm not going to because I think it's a waste of time. Next week, they wanted me to headline there in the United Kingdom that teaches mannerism. I said, I feel very complimented that you want me to be a headliner in a conference of mannerism. I never knew I was so polite. But they're unbelievable. Now I looked at some of the people that are speaking and what books they wrote, and I was curious, what I'm up against over there before I decided to politely decline. And it's not a Jewish thing, it's for Goyim. And one of the books caught my eye. I said, let me see what this thing has to say. So I got the digital version, for $1 on one of these Amazon things, and skimmed through it quickly. And the book is about being happy. The formula of happiness, something like that. And he writes over there, at the end, I read the first bunch of pages, honestly none of it made sense. That's why I'm not saying the name of the author. And today you gotta be scared. Tomorrow he'll sue you for slander or God knows what. I went all the way to the end of the book. And I said, let me see what he ends off with. What's his conclusion? He says, being that we're in a generation that people are naturally depressed, but others don't like seeing sad faces and it harms sales and the economy, and he has all these studies on how much money we lose in the economy every day because of sour faces and how many jobs are lost and how many deals are lost. Studies upon studies, all these graphs, you can get dizzy from all the graphs. So we have to make training events to teach people how to put up a fake smile. This was his conclusion on life. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. I'm not here to give a course on marketing. In my marketing courses, I actually discuss that. But this was the conclusion of the quote-unquote guru of happiness. Let's teach people how to fake a smile. I think we all know the quote. I'm not saying it exactly, but roughly, that Albert Einstein said one of the symbols of the number one indicator of somebody who's stupid is one who does the same thing twice and thinks he'll have a different outcome. Billions of people throughout history are looking for one outcome. I want to be happy. And everybody's walking around depressed. 50% of the US, more or less, is on some sort of SSRI or something in the family of it. And maybe the numbers are going down a little bit now, not because they're happier, because they're on other things that are worse. Everybody's escaping. The alcohol consumption that we have in our country is, I wonder if you matched it up with like water, which one would be more? The bars are full, everything's full. Every restaurant that doesn't sell alcohol doesn't succeed. That's the nature. I'm watching football with a beer. I'm eating dinner with a wine. I'm doing this with an escape, an escape, an escape, an escape. Everything's an escape. So obviously something's going wrong. So if so many billions tried the same thing and all came out with the same outcome, failure. So either you have to have a new formula or you just labeled yourself an idiot according to Albert Einstein. That you're trying the same thing that everybody, looking for a different outcome. And not a second time. You're trying it time number who knows what. There's no number for the number. Because we don't know how many people were in the world from day one. Rav Shach says, that's the problem, but I have an answer. That's exciting. To solve this problem, what could be better? So listen to what he writes. Unbelievable. And I'm going to quote in Hebrew, because I think Rav Shach's words are so holy that it's dangerous to just translate roughly. You have to quote and translate. That's respect for Gdol Ador. HaYehudi tamid mu'ushar. A Jew by definition is always going to be happy. Why? Mishum sheyesh tachlit l'chayav. Because there's a real purpose to his life. Really what Rav Shach just taught us is, the formula to be happy in life is to have a real meaning, a purpose. And if you're not happy, you better ask yourself, why don't I have a purpose? Rav Shach continues. Ein adam ba'olam she'ein lo tza'al. There's nobody in the world who doesn't suffer. Everybody suffers. I have an acquaintance who was very poor for a lot of years. I used to help him out. Recently, B'li Ayin Hara, Hashem turned his life up. He went from poverty to wealth in a big way. Came to talk to me one day, to tell me to ask me advice on different medications that have to do with depression. I couldn't control myself. I'm not saying this is right to ask, wrong to ask. We're close friends and we understand each other, so I was able to get away with it. I said, when you were poor, you didn't ask questions like that. Now you're rich. If anything, now you should be living the good life. Now you're asking the question? He said, yeah. This only started after I made my money. I said, why? I thought money was a good thing. I like money. I said, let me tell you why. He said, because when I was poor, every time something bothered me, I always used to tell myself, when I'll be rich, I'll feel better. He said, but then I became rich, and not only don't I feel better, I feel worse, so now what? It's Divrei Chokhmah. Smart words he used. It's a very self-aware person. There's nobody in the world that doesn't suffer. Everybody has something that goes wrong, and large things that go wrong in their life. Rav Shach was more gentle with his words, and he said, at least, mipam lepam, from time to time, you have ogmat nefesh, things that aggravate you. He said, but there's a difference. Ha'evdel hayichidi hu, Adam asher eino yodea ma'i tachlit chayav, somebody who doesn't know what the purpose of his life is, u'l'shem ma alav lisbol bazeh ha'olam, and why he's suffering in this world. Harei hu chash memumar al shenolad vehigia le'olam shekazeh. He feels miserable that he was born, and why did he have to live in this world? Malei sevel utla'a, a world that's full of suffering and terrible happenings. Ve'umat ha'yehudi, but a Jew, יודע כי מטרה נכבדה מאין כמותה עומדת מאחורי רידתו אל זה העולם, knows that there's a respectable, great, indescribable purpose that he came down to this world. ולפיכך אינו מתאונן ואינו מתלונן, and therefore he doesn't have pain and doesn't complain. באשר מכיר הוא, because he recognizes בכך שזה טיבו של העולם. This is the good of the world. hu malei nisyonot, it's full of challenges, asher yesh litmoded itam, that you should deal with. That's actually the purpose. It's not a problem. That was the reason why you're here. Exactly for that. Comes Rav Shach and continues. Again, there's a direct quote, word for word. Hayehudi tamid mushar. The Jew is always happy. Mishum shu yodea sheyesh lo abba shebashamayim, because he knows he has a father in heaven. Tov u'meitiv, that's good and only wants to do good. Abba shemashkif alav bechesed, a father that looks down on him in kindness. V'chol machshavotav alav tov kol hayom. And all Hashem's thoughts about every Jew in the world is always good, all day. Hu zocher lehodot leborei olam. He remembers to thank Hashem. Al kol hatov bo hikif oto, on all the good that he surrounded him with. Al hamazon shu mesapek lo, on the food that he gave you. Al ha'avir shu noshem, on the air that you breathe. Al ha'or, on the light. Val yofi habriya, and on the beauty of creation. Kach shegam im ein hakol mitnahel al hatzad hayoter tov. Therefore, even if not everything is working so perfectly, v'hu eino motze makom litlonen, he doesn't find any place to complain. Ela rak lehodot, only to thank, al hachasadim magdolim, on the great kindness, le'ein aroch, that have no measurement, there's no end to them, al kol hakshayim shebaolam, because they're so greater than all the hardships of the world. I can't deal with myself today. I woke up in a bad mood. On my left side. I'm a lefty. I wake up on my left side every morning. Can't deal with myself. I woke up on my left side. All right, I have a question for you. If you want a respirator, you just got taken off of the respirator, and now you can breathe on your own, and you woke up on your left side, would you be sad or happy? You wake up, you see the doctors around you, they tell you today you're getting released from the hospital. It's after a week of not breathing on your own. You'd be dancing and singing no matter how much pain you're in and no matter what your mood is. So it's Hashem's fault that he didn't make you sick? Understand the chutzpah? The arrogance? If God would have made you sick and now you're healthy, you'd be dancing and singing. Everything would be beautiful. None of your problems would be problems. Because Hashem was nice to you and didn't make you sick. So now you're blaming him? So now he's the bad guy? What an absurd logic. Look how much good you have in your life. Look how much is working for you. And that's what the wise man said, that two people walk into a room, one sees what there is in the room, and the other one sees what there isn't in a room. It's an unbelievable thing. It's an unbelievable thing. But Rav Shach's not done yet. Rav Shach had a lot to say. You know, when you live 100 and something years of learning Torah, you have a lot to see, to teach over to the world. Hayehudi tamid meushar, he continues with the theme. The Jew is always happy. Because he knows that Hashem is a Av Rachaman, is a merciful Father. Before he spoke about the kindness. Now it's another step. The God of mercy. Nimtza ito bekol hamatzavim, it's always with him. A Jew is never alone. Ukfi she'amar David HaMelech alav hashalom, the way David HaMelech said in Tehillim, Gam ki elech begeitz ha'mavet, even when I walk in the valley of death, lo irara, I don't fear bad, ki ata imadi, because you Hashem is with me. Ka'asher yodei ha'adam, when a person knows, ki melech malchei ha'mlachim sho'ohev oto, hachid she'efshar, that God that loves you as much as possible, there's no human that can love you as much as God. So ed litzido b'kol rega is literally walking by your side every second. Klum yachol hu liot shavu v'ratzutz. Could he ever be depressed? Barur shelo. For sure not. And if somebody's not happy, then he doesn't believe that Hashem is with him. Many Gdolei Yisrael we would title today in the medical world, and I'm embarrassed to even use this term, so Hashem should forgive me, it's just so we make a point, loners. Maran Rav Yaakov Yagen, that I had the zchut to learn from a lot, was the ultimate loner. He didn't go out. He didn't have friends. They didn't make him birthday parties. Nothing. He sat alone in his room most of the time without a charuta and learned non-stop. He didn't even speak barely to his own children. God forbid we shouldn't learn from that. These were Gdolim that had certain hanagot because they understood what their children's needs were. Rabbi Kanievsky Aleh Shalom says that her father used to go on a walk with her every night, but her father would think in learning, and she would walk with him. And that made her feel good. That she had the zchut to walk near her father, that's such a big Talmid Chacham. She said that gave her all the satisfaction in the world. Today's parents have to talk to their kids day and night because our kids are babies even when they're 30, and they need never-ending attention forever. It's a different world, and we have to make peace with that, and we have to deal with it accordingly. So that's why I'm stressing, don't learn from that. One fool told me recently that he doesn't spend time with his kids because the Chafetz Chaim never did it. I said, first of all, you might be a liar, because how do you know? You were in the Chafetz Chaim's house? I actually have proof that the Chafetz Chaim did do it. I said, but even if what you're saying is true, do you live everything else in your life like the Chafetz Chaim? Is your shlom bayit like the Chafetz Chaim? Do you respect your wife like the Chafetz Chaim? Do you respect your children like the Chafetz Chaim? Did you never talk a bad word to anybody in the world like the Chafetz Chaim? Did you never say a word of Lashon Hara like the Chafetz Chaim? When you do all of that, so then talk to me about the way the Chafetz Chaim did or didn't deal with his children. But you want to live like an animal and use the Chafetz Chaim as an excuse. That's not going to work. I said, because you know what you're embarrassing most? The Chafetz Chaim. And to be on the Chafetz Chaim's bad side is not a good idea. I always say, my mom taught me as a young child, this is the thing I remember most from everything she taught me. Never pick a fight with somebody who's bigger and better than you, because you will lose. Chafetz Chaim, you, I'm embarrassed to say it in one sentence. There's no parallel, there's no nothing. That's what you're saying? So that's why I stress, that I give examples from Gdolim doesn't mean that that's what we should be. But how are they able to be loners? Rabbi Yasha was the happiest person ever. He would sing and smile all day and all night when he learned that you never saw him without a smile in the videos, you never saw him without his singing and his concentration and calm, and nothing got him tense. And just to see his face made you relaxed. It was like a therapeutic thing just to see his face. Till today there's some recordings of his learning, just to listen to them. Call Lashon as a few. It's relaxing. The soul suddenly feels calm. It's an unbelievable thing. Literally therapeutic. Recently I actually experimented this about 2 months ago. I had a mother call me, she had a child who's ADHD. And she was panicking and traumatized by it. I said, don't worry, all the H's and D's were named after me. I got them all. And I'm still okay, everything's fine. And I didn't even take any of the drugs for it. It's fine. I'm still okay, Baruch Hashem. All highly successful people have a few D's and H's in their name. Because that means you have energy. Somebody who has no energy, he goes to an old age home when he's 12. But if you have energy, today it's a medical diagnosis because it's not convenient for the teacher to deal with the kid. Fine, so the teacher has the ADHD maybe, but the hazid on the child, what do you want from it? I'm not getting into the medical argument if you should help a kid with medication or not. That's already an individual question. I said, before you drug your kid up, which may be necessary, and if it's necessary, you should do it, try something else. I'm going to send you a couple of clips or links and Kol HaLashon to Rabbi Yashiv learning. Play it for him when he goes to sleep at night. If he doesn't want to listen or if he shuts it off, don't force him. But leave it on in a different room out loud so he should be able to hear. This was maybe 2 months ago, I don't remember exactly. A week ago she called me, she said the kids are normal, everything's healthy. He said the only thing that's not so healthy is that Friday night he can't go to sleep, because Friday night she can't leave him on the recording, so he makes the whole family crazy Friday night. I said, so I have an eitzah for you, buy a book about Rabbi Yashiv in English, so you should read about the rabbi he's listening to, And Friday night he'll fall asleep on the book. I don't know if it worked or not. Let's see in a few weeks. This is a man that we would describe as a loner. He was to himself. He kept to himself. He didn't socialize. He didn't go to events. Never saw Rabbi Yasha wasting his time tonight by this party, the next. All he did was sit in his Dalet Amot and learn. Chazon Ish was the same way. Rav Shach was the same way. All the Gdolei were like that. Some had more interaction with people. Some had less interaction with people. But they were the happiest people in the world and the calmest people in the world. And they were the farthest thing from loners. You know why? Because Hashem was with them. Abaye and Rava were with them. Mishlokish was with them. Meir Balanes was with them. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai was with them. You got to choose your friends in life. I'd rather have a Meir Balanes as my friend. I'm telling you my personal taste. Other people would rather have Versace as their friend. Each one you got to pick. Who do you want as your friends? I'll tell you the good news. A Meir Balanes will never backstab you. He'll always be there for you. Your friends will turn a back on you the second one thing goes wrong in your life. Pick your friends. I have a first cousin. Baruch Hashem, now she's married with a family, but there was a while that she struggled getting married. She lost her father and her mother. She was the daughter of Rav Yaakov Yagen, the youngest. Her father died when she was very young. Mother died later on from cancer. She didn't have an easy life exactly. And she was always happy. And then when it came to marriage age, of course, we all try to help her and do anything for her. And the students, and between the family and the students, if we had to build her a country, we would have done it. Hashem decided otherwise. Nothing was working. And on paper, it makes no sense. She comes from such a good family, beautiful girl, good school, smart, everything. We would support her financially. Everything was there. Doesn't go. And the years are going by. And she's always with a smile. One day, I couldn't anymore. I said, I want to be like that. Maybe she could teach me. I'm going to go to therapy by my cousin. So I was in Israel, and I told her we have to have a therapy session. She told me, I don't know what therapy is. I said, in America, it's in style. We'll call it in your language chesed. Do chesed, give me some of your time. She said, sure, Yaakov, what do you want? I said, how could it be? You went through so much in life. You should be down in the dumps. And you're the happiest person in the world. What's the trick? I also want to be like that. Teach it to me. What's the trick? She was shy. She didn't want to say much. She was very tznuah, didn't like talking. I pushed and pushed and pushed, and then I mean, there's no getting away with things. Finally, she opens like a little, I think they call wristlets or something, those little purses that you wear on your thing. So she opens this thing up, pulls out a Tehillim that's about this size, and she says, you see this? This is David HaMelech's love letter to me. And he's my best friend. So I'm never alone. My best friend's with me all day, every day. He talks to me. Talks my language. I understand him and he understands me. This is not the end of the story. Maybe half a year, 3/4 of a year went by from that incident that I'm still in awe about many years later. Baruch Hashem, she got married, built a beautiful family. Hashem should watch over her and her husband and her kids, and she should see grandchildren and great-grandchildren, 5 generations at least. There was a great tzaddik who lived in Herzliya, in Ramat HaSharon, who had the zchut to be mishamesh for a while. His name was Rav Yaakov Yagen. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. And he was known for his blessings, especially when it came to shidduchim. Girls would come into him and he would tell them this day, this time, that's how literal it was with him. It was wild. And I was in Israel and she still wasn't, shidduchim was still an issue. I said, let me take it to Rav Yaakov Yagen. I took it to Rabbi Yaakov Yagen. And we went in. Rabbi Yaakov Yagen took in ladies. He used to speak to ladies also because he felt that was the need of the generation. And when we went in, I told him, Kvod Harav, it's a girl, Yitoma, this, that, I tried to dramatize a little bit. And I see that when she walked in, Rabbi Yaakov stood up, and the whole time he's talking, he's standing, and he's an old man, and he wasn't well. It was in his later stage of life. I told him, Chacham, sit down, because otherwise we don't feel comfortable to continue the conversation. And I need to finish telling you the story, so you should give her a good blessing. And this before I get to even tell her about the girl, I'm still holding by, that she doesn't have parents and she's in Shidduchim, and I'm still holding there at the beginning of the story. Tells me, how can I sit down when David HaMelech is standing in the room? I almost fainted on the spot. My body was trembling, I couldn't talk, I couldn't anything. I said, how could I sit down when David HaMelech is in the room? You know what a Jewish young girl gets to in life? What Rav Shach says. That she never feels alone. Kosh Baruch Hu is with you. David HaMelech is with you. All the Gdolei Yisrael are with you. They all want you to succeed. The ones that are not alive, and Shibadlu L'chaim Tovim, the ones that are alive too. And they all love you. And they truly love you, even if they don't know you personally. You could have been a total stranger and went into Rav Shach. He would have given you his life. If he had to take the shirt off his back for you to smile, he would have done that too. I've seen him done things that make no sense. Just to help another person. You're alone? You're not alone. Comes Rav Shach and writes, when a Jew knows that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with him, so gam ki elech begeitz hamavet lo yirara. What am I scared of? Ki atay imadi, Rebbeinu Shalom, you're with me. You're walking on my side. And he ends off with a siyum, and I want to conclude these words, and this is only one of the many segments that he said. But unfortunately the clock doesn't work in my favor normally on Thursdays. HaYehudi tamid meushar. A Jew is always happy, the same theme again. Shu bakir bakach, because he knows. She'eino yachol ladat elu tzarot acherot ayumot v'noraot shivatayim, or terrible tragedies that are so much worse. Nechsechu mimenu, were saved from him, beitim shel elu kshayim imahem hu ne'elatz litmoded. As a result of those minor hardships that during that time he had to deal with. Uma'amin be'emunah shleima, he believes fully, wholeheartedly. Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu oseh hakol l'tovato v'rak l'tovato. Hashem does everything for his good and only for his good. U'me'achar kach, and because of that, hu eino margish af pa'am, he never feels tchushat itmarmemut, a bitter feeling. Ela rak simcha atzuma, only a great joy. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us from all the nations of the world. V'shelo asani goy. And he didn't make me a goy. This was the legacy of the Gdol HaDov, what he titled Chayei Osher. If you want to live a life that's happy, comes the Gdol HaDov and says there's a few conditions. Number one, you have to have a purpose. Number two, you have to remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you. You have to remember that the tzaddikim are with you. You have to have a connection to Hashem and to the tzaddikim. In other places, and other times, by the way, about what Rav Shach wrote over here at the end, that you never know what's suffering, Hashem made a lot of nisim to a lot of people in recent generations that are publicized, that we should see clearly how these things happen. See clearly, as clear as night and day, how these things happen. Today you don't have to be a big ma'amin, you could see everything in your own eyes. I have an acquaintance, he published a story in some book, I think the book is called 9/11 and Its Miracles, who they wouldn't let him on a flight. And because he was, I don't know, you have to be there 20 minutes before or something, and he was like 19. And he was one of these platinum, whatever, fancy name flyers who the airline, loves. And he called his personal ambassador and said, what is this? And if they don't let me on the plane, I'm changing airlines, and threatened the whole world and whatever else he did over there. And the lady at the gate was probably a lady, somebody who had issues, and let it out on him, and she wouldn't budge. It's not like the plane moved. The door was open, the gate was attached to it. Jerk, that's it. Not going to let you. There were times in my life that I had to deal with people like that. Baruch Hashem, they let me on in general, but that's for other reasons. I have a different approach. When I come to the gate, if the sleeve is already there, then it's not fair to bother everybody to just reattach everything for you. Even though they offer it to me, I say no, that's not fair. But if everything's there, so you have to be a jerk, but I'm not going to tell him that. So with a big smile, I turned to the guy, to the girl. I said, you must have had a really hard day today. Or yesterday. Who hurt your feelings? Who bothered you? Maybe I could take you over for a few minutes, go get a drink, I'll pay for it. Maybe you need to vent a little bit, I'll give you my phone number, you'll call me later, you'll tell me what's bothering you, I'll help you. I said, I'm a mastermind psychologist without a degree. I understand the human heart and brain better than everybody. We'll be in touch, I'll help you. And they said, what are you talking about? Nothing's bothering me. I said, if nothing was bothering you, then you wouldn't have to let your aggravation out on me. If you have to let something out on me, something is bothering you. So instead of being in denial, let's help you. One of two things happens at that point. Either they say, give me your phone number and get on the plane, or they say, get on the plane, depending if they want the help or not. But one of the two. I have many airlines that the crew will tell you how much help they get. Free services. I was once by a goodbye party. El Al has a very nice thing. If you work for them for more than a certain amount of years, then whenever you retire, they make you a whole celebration. And they tell you can invite 5 guests from anywhere in the world to come join the party in Israel. And they have, but there's a catch. They have to fly with you on the last flight. We're talking about pilots and flight attendants and these people. So I'm friends with the whole El Al practically. So I'm invited to a lot of these things. And El Al pays for it. And believe it or not, in this case they're not stingy. When there was first class, they gave you first class even. Now only business class, but one way or the other. It's an interesting thing. So I was once on a flight in one of these type of situations. Now I didn't go because of this, I don't have time to waste. I had to go anyway, I figured why not, a free ticket. And it's a whole celebration. And the pilot announces, this is the last flight for Mr. So-and-so, and this, it's a whole thing. And this pilot he was the guy who was the last flight, so he was saying it was my last flight, and I have a lot of dear people on board, and he says my wife and my kids and this and that and whatever. And he says a couple of names of his friends, and my personal unlicensed psychologist. And I think the whole 20 whatever crew members on the plane will agree, he's their psychologist too. There was an old lady sitting near me. She was an innocent person. She didn't get the Israeli humor. So she turns to me and she says, what? Everybody who works in El Al has psychotic issues? So then I thought of the method. I said, no, when I need something, instead of going fighting with them, I understand them. I see where they're coming from. I see where they're coming from, that's it. I understand where they're coming from. I have this guy who puts on tefillin. He's a flight attendant at El Al. I said, El Al, I remember him. He's my first association lately with El Al. He recently started putting on tefillin since Lag BaOmer. What happened? It was amazing. I'm flying back from Lag BaOmer. There's 8 of us in the front, and we're all straight from Iran, tired and cranky and whatever. And I could already tell it's not going to be good because everybody wants to sleep a second after takeoff, and there's only 2 guys that are supposed to take care of 8 people a second after takeoff to make everybody's beds exactly and this and that and everything together. It's not going to work. So I went to the guy before the flight. I told him, listen, last night we were in Iran all night, everybody's tired and that. There are people that might talk to you a little bit harsh or be agitated and that. Don't judge them. They're not here. They're so overtired and they don't know what's going on with them at all. They don't know if it's day or night. But do me a favor. You know me. I know you. I've been flying your airline for 27 years in premium cabins. I'm a good customer. So by now, I think I figured out how to make the beds and let me help you. And then nobody will get upset at you. There'll be a third hand. We'll get it done in 30 seconds. Everybody will be happy. Everybody will go to sleep. You'll have a peaceful, quiet flight. He says, I'm not allowed to do that or whatever, but thank you for the offer. That's all he said. Comes to me in the middle of the flight. I guess I don't sleep even when I'm tired. And he came over to me and he says, can we talk in the kitchen a little bit? So I told him, sure. So I go into that little area, I don't know if you can call it a kitchen, whatever. The 2 booths, they gotta hope that nothing rolls out on you. And I'm standing there with him, and he says, I gotta know something. So he says, what? He said, you're flying a premium cabin. People pay a lot of money for that. I said, could be not. It's none of your business. He says, and they expect top service. That's why they make that investment. I said, okay, and? He said, so why did you offer to help me? I should be offering to help you. What's your rationale? I know you for years. You're a rational person. What's your rationale? I said, first of all, it has nothing to do with rationale. It's called being practical. Number 2, why shouldn't I help you? Well, you're my slave, you're my servant. What are you exactly? You needed a job. You took this job. I needed a comfortable flight. I took this flight. That God put us both together doesn't mean that you're my servant. I said, I'll tell you more than that. If you pay attention over the years, I never asked for a cup of water even, unless I came to the kitchen. Because I always felt bad that somebody should have to walk 5 steps for me. Because nobody owes me anything in this world. He's staring at me, staring at me, staring at me, staring at me. He says, who taught you that? I said, the Chumash. He said, what part of the Chumash? I learned Chumash in school, I don't remember it. I said, the way you learned Chumash in school, I don't know, maybe it was better not to learn Chumash. But the first pasuk, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. God created the world. If God created the world, it's His. So we all work for Him. So we're all equal. We're all employees in the same company. That's it. So we're a team. So now you need a hand, so I give you a hand. I've become a flight attendant for an hour, nothing wrong. So I wouldn't even be embarrassed of it, I'd be proud of it. He looks at me and he says, what else does it say in the Chumash? And as soon as he said that, I said, I have a tzaddik over here. I said, it says in the Chumash that you're not allowed to work on Shabbat, and that you have to put on tefillin every day, and you have to keep kosher. And he tells me in Hebrew one word, kibalti. I took it upon myself. I didn't know if it was serious or not. You know, sometimes on the spur of the moment, people get excited, they say something. But I didn't say it. I said, Mazal Tov, that's all I told him. Then he tells me, well, wait a second, can I borrow your tefillin? Because we're going to land, it's going to already be the end of the day. It was a day flight back in the morning. I said, sure, you can borrow my tefillin. I didn't want to tell him you can have them, because I did that so many times that the Sofet doesn't keep up with writing tefillin for me. But especially these that are very special to me. So I said, yeah, of course. And in New York, we'll arrange your tefillin, that's not a question at all. He put on my tefillin, he davened such a prayer. He took my siddur, he was davening, Alavai, my prayer should look like that. I wish one day. It was like somebody when years was dying to pray but couldn't get himself to do it, and finally is now opening up the dialogue with God. And the amazing thing is, this prayer took a long time. And people started waking up in the cabin already as the hours were going by, because only that much you could sleep, and it's a long flight back. And these Hasidim see him praying, and nobody suddenly needs coffee, and nobody needs help, and everybody's quiet. Some of them are taking out their phones, videoing, and whatever, but other than that, everybody's quiet, nobody needs anything. And then when he's done, and he takes it off, and I show him how to roll it up, I want to roll up my own feeling, whatever, and I put it away, and he starts walking around I was amazed by these Hasidim. They take his hand, one guy kisses his hand, he says, give me a blessing. He said, my whole night in Lag B'Omer is one big joke. He said, look at the way you pray. He said, I'm sitting there, I'm nothing. You're going to serve me? No way in the world. Before I left the plane, he comes to me and he says, before you go to become a flight attendant, you have to take a course. I don't know much about being a flight attendant, but it seems like it's true. And not just a course, it's like it takes a few weeks, a few months, I don't know what it takes. It takes time, you have to actually learn. There's a school to be a flight attendant. He says, and that's to pour Coke. To pour Coke, you have to go to school for a few weeks. Of course, they teach safety, whatever, different things. He says, if that's the case, and to keep Shabbat, to put on tefillin, and to keep kosher, I'm sure there's a school for that. He says, which school could I go to? I said, here's my phone number. Send me your flight schedule. I'll find you a school that'll match your flight schedule. Because I can't have him lose work. That's the match. Listen to what this man is up to today. This is from Lag B'Omer to today. The yeshiva in Bnei Brak called the Tivot Olam, if I remember correctly. He learns there on the days that he's not flying, which is in El Al 3/4 of the week he do nothing. He learns there. When he's in America, when he flies the New York route, and he always asks to get the New York route, they get 3 days off here. What a good job. You work for a few hours, 3 days off. Instead of hanging out with all of them doing nothing in Manhattan, he goes to Rav Pinto's place in Manhattan and studies over there. And he recently called me and asked me for a good lawyer that knows religious rights in Israel, because Allah wants to force him to take certain flights that land Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and now it's a short Shabbat, and he's not going to make it home in time for Shabbat. So he says, if there's no choice, I'll quit my job, but if I can keep my job, I would like to, because the money's good. See if there's a lawyer that could send them a threat letter so I should be able to keep my job. I said, buddy, you don't need no lawyer. I'm going to call a Jew who's going to go into Reb Chaim Kanievsky, who's going to write a letter to El Al saying that he's going to write a letter if they give you an issue that no Orthodox Jews are allowed to fly El Al anymore. Reb Chaim was too weak to write. They recorded him. And he said, if El Al forces people to take flights that endanger their Shabbat, no Orthodox Jew is ever allowed to fly El Al. They played it to the CEO or to one of these guys in El Al. In 3 seconds, they told him, you pick which days you want to fly. You make your own schedule. So now he's the king there. The privileged guy. In the premium cabins, 70-something% is Orthodox Jews. They're going to lose 70% of their premium business. They close the company instantly. That's the koach of Shmirat Shabbat, the koach of the tmimut of a Jew. But that's the ultimate koach of somebody who understands that it's Hashem's world, it's not my world. And if it's Hashem's world, so nobody owes me anything. Definitely not God. So I'm a happy person, and I'm happy to help others, and I'm happy to see other people happy. Because if I helped another person, I made another person that Hashem created happy as well. And the world's a better place. Life is a lot more beautiful. This guy that they didn't let on the flight, that's how we started this. That flight was that flight that went down over there in Pennsylvania. He was cursing the flight attendant out for not letting him on. He probably was angry at God too then. God, what is this? Before you know, he was going to do a mitzvah. I'm going to do a mitzvah. Why is it happening to me? Hashem saved his life. Literally said it. He publicized the story all over years ago. He publicized it all over. There's no way he didn't publicize the story. I can tell you in my own life countless stories that I had like that. Countless. One of the scariest ones that I ever had, I went to Marat HaMechpelah once. I go every time I'm in Israel, Bli Neder, because Maran Rabbi Shach told me that if a person's in Israel for, let's say, 5 hours, and there's only one holy place you can go to, what would everybody in this room say? Where do you go? The Kotel, right? Rabbi Shach said, no, that's wrong. Marat HaMechpelah. That's what Avot HaKadoshim are buried. The Kotel is the wall around the outer mountain of the Beit Mikdash. I'm not downplaying the Kotel, it's very holy and we should go. But Marat HaMechpelah comes first. Some people are scared, this, that. They're not scared to walk in the Bronx, but suddenly they're scared to go to Marat HaMechpelah. I'd be a lot more scared to walk on Queens Boulevard. A lot more. Honestly, there are more Muslims right now in Queens than there are in Hebron, so I'm not really sure that there's much of a difference here. And at least over there, there's a Jewish army that protects you, and over here, there are messengers of Hashem to protect you. And over here, you're relying on people that I don't know how much they love you. It's, this whole idea that I can't go to Mahad, it's crazy. It's a disgrace that we had to make. It's a big schut for the person who did it, obviously, but it's a disgrace on a Jewish perspective that we had to make Kevel Achel look like some fortress. Looks like you're going into a military base with gates and this and that. There was no choice. Yimach Shemam, our first cousins called the Ishmaelim, they throw rocks and bombs. They're crazy. They don't know what they want. You saw what they did in Israel in the past 2 days? They had rockets raining. Halavai Hashem should send rain as much as those rockets. We wouldn't need rain in Israel for a few years afterwards. I'm wondering what these dumb Democrats would say if New York City would be, or San Francisco, there would be raining in rockets. They would forget about the impeaching Trump, and they would forget about everything, and they'd go to a global war. But if Israel has rockets raining on them, Yimach Shemam v'zichram CNN, what do they say? The Israelis killed an innocent wife of some name, and they don't even call him a terrorist. That's what the news had to say about Israel this week. Raining rockets in, no mention. The Israelis killed an innocent woman. Innocent, what innocent? An archi-terrorist. But an innocent woman who, it's almost as absurd as Trump saying that he's bringing that hero dog to the White House from, when they killed that idiot. Same logic, more. That's what the world's holding by. They're all holding in the same craziness. It's unbelievable. Yeah, that's why you need to feel Hashem today, just because if you don't feel Hashem, you become a meshugin, there's nothing left. You become nuts. There's going to be nothing left to you. So I go to Marat HaMechpelah. I was in Israel for a short time. I landed in the morning, I was out in the evening. Or night. That's not that short for me. I go to Marat, I went for a different reason, and then I went to Marat HaMechpelah. And then from there I was going straight to the airport. I wasn't driving myself then, because I figured if I'm only here 12 hours, it's cheaper and better and easier and more comfortable to just pay a driver, let him drive me around, then go away. When I get to Malat HaMachpelah, so I go in to pray, and the driver tells me, listen, buddy, you got to get to your flight at this time. He's making all these calculations for me, probably guy never flew in his life. And so we got to get out of here, and he tells me a time. I tell him, sir, Baruch Hashem, you see, I came like this. I don't have any luggage to check in. I don't have security to go through. I wave my hand to everybody and they say goodbye. I don't have all these things. I can get there where I want. Besides, b'mchilat kvodcha, you should remember that I'm paying you, you're not paying me. So I think we should do it the way I want to do it. Like a good Israeli, Baruch Hashem, with a lot of energy. And I don't say this in a bad way, I say this because he actually probably came from a very caring place. He tells me, I'm telling you, I drive people to the airport every day. I said, right, but I fly every day. I don't know why I wasted my time arguing with this guy at all. Then he decides to threaten me. At 10:15, I'm leaving. If you're in the car, good. If not, not. I saw in his personality that he's going to leave. Now, if he wasn't prepaid, I would say let him go. But he was prepaid. Haval that I should have to pay another $100 for a cab afterwards. Say, Kaparat Avonot, Hashem, you know I wanted to stay longer. It is what it is. Let me go pray. I go, I read some Tehillim, I pray Avid. The clock's ticking. 10:13, I come running down. 10:15, I'm in the car. And off we go. He thought that 10:15 was late too in his mind. He puts on Waze, but Waze is not enough for him. He's very mahmir. So he puts on the radio also to listen to the traffic. What traffic at 10:15 at night in the middle of a Muslim town? Come on, let's be real. Horses, donkeys, who's up then? What am I going to find there? Puts on the radio. I don't think 90 seconds went by. Breaking news. Shooting by the entrance of Marat HaMachpelah. I was upset. I said, this nutcase is busy fighting with me when I'm paying him so much money to drive me today. And Hashem was saying, idiot. You could be exactly there and be shot. That's what Rav Shach says. You had a tzara, you had something that didn't work out right for you. You know what Hashem saved you from? And I'm going to end off with a subject that's very sensitive to everybody. But sometimes you have to say it as it is. Many times, guys or girls get crazy ideas in their head that that's my wife or that's my husband. Because in high school they knew them. I don't know. I'm not sure what the reason is. They were a neighbor on the block if you're Syrian. They were whatever. And the other person's just not interested in them. Or they go out and it doesn't work out, or this, or that. I've been around for a lot of years. I've been hearing Klal Yisrael's problems right now for 18 and plus years straight. Obviously, I would never go back and tell this to a person when he vented to me about the problem. You know how many stories like I know like that later on we found out how crazy the other person was? And while you were busy being upset at Hashem that something didn't work out for you, He saved you from a lunatic that would have destroyed your life in the worst way possible. Not once, not twice, I'm talking about hundreds. I could probably write a book, a fat book, just of those stories alone. Obviously I can't because it would give up people's identities. Story after story after story like that. Now how many times a boy didn't get into yeshiva and we get all angry at the yeshiva, why didn't he take him? And 3 weeks later we find out that the Rebbe in 9th grade is such a disaster that thank God he didn't get in there. Because if he would have got in there, he would have never lasted even a day. He would have been out on his head a day later. Countless things like that. And every time we're busy getting upset at Hashem, exactly what Rav Shach writes, Hashem is laughing at us, crying about us at the same time. He's laughing because he sees how stupid we're behaving, and he's crying that we don't want to get smarter. So that just saved you from the worst thing in the world. And you're complaining about this? This is exactly what's saving you. This is exactly what's saving you. And to be Messiah with something that Rav Shach once told me. I once complained, not once, I'm embarrassed to say, but many times I complained to him about a lot of things. One of my many times that I complained to him about something. Tell me an unbelievable story. He said, today you can't tell that to me. Then I complained to him that I had migraines. There was a while in my life I used to get these terrible migraines. And I took all the medication, none of them. It's all a joke, nothing works. I later on went to study chemistry to find out why nothing works. Kid said it was a bad story, and the Gemara says, Chash b'rosh yasok b'Torah, and I was trying to learn. It wasn't working, I couldn't concentrate. So that was by Rav Shach. It was a Wednesday night. I went to Rosh Shiva. I said, Shiva, my head is killing. I tried Chash b'rosh yasok b'Torah, and I tried Chochmah b'Goyim Ta'amin, all of the doctors. It ain't happening. Rabbi, I can't. It's not for me. And then I tell him, give me a blessing that I should be healthy tonight. Rav Shach wasn't into blessings. When you asked him for a blessing, he used to answer in Yiddish. I'm not a Hasidic Rebbe, I don't give out blessings. That was his answer all the time. Once in a while, you were able to squeeze a few words, but that wasn't his style. He was hardcore Lithuanian. There was no games with him. Before flights, he agreed to bless me. Once before a flight, I asked him for a blessing. Now, what are you going to ask Rav Shach? I'm not going to ask him for a blessing, to get a new suit. So I asked him for a blessing to be a Talmid Chacham. He started screaming at me. So there is no such blessing. It's a tefillat shav. If you learn, you'll be a Talmid Chacham. And if not, you'll be an Am Haaretz forever. That yelling that I got from him changed my life. Every time I wanted to close the Gemara after that for a very long time, I wasn't capable. Because all I had playing in my head was if you don't learn, you're going to be an Am Haaretz forever. And an Am Haaretz is one thing I definitely don't want to be. But, Maran Rosh Yeshiva with his great love. So I vented to him. He says, today, for sure you can't do it. I said, why today not? What's today? I said, Ma shoneh yom miyomayim. What's today? Yesterday, if I would have came to you, it would have been okay. He says, yesterday maybe. So now I'm really confused. If what I'm saying is wrong, so it's wrong every day. Tells me this morning I woke up early and I was learning and something happened. I don't remember the details. Either he bumped into something or he slipped and he fell. Something happened and he had the person, a tzaddik, of Hananya Cholak, a tzaddik from Ezem Etzion, used to take care of him. And Hananya came right away and Kitza was decided that for safety, that he's an old man already, they should take him to the hospital to check. When they checked him, they ended up, by the way, through the blood work or whatever they did, he told me the details, but I don't remember. Or maybe I was too young to even understand the concepts. They found that he had something else going on that was easy to fix, but if it would have not been fixed, it could have cost his life. He said, you're complaining about a headache? Maybe the headache's saving your life, not from something. Maybe the headache's saving your life, not from something. Maybe if you wouldn't have a headache, I said, but I went to the doctors, they checked, everything's fine. So you can't tell me your story. I was arguing with him like an idiot. So he tells me, no, but maybe if you wouldn't have a headache, you'd go somewhere that would be your end. And because you have a headache, you stayed in bed and didn't go to that place. He says, what are you complaining about? Today is the wrong day for that. But I later on understood that what he really meant to tell me was every day is the wrong day for that. I do want to stress, there's a difference between venting and complaining. Venting is extremely healthy. Chazal say, De'aga belev ish yisichena. If something's bothering, don't keep it inside. Talk to somebody who has brains and can understand and relate about it. That's what Chazal say. De'aga belev ish yisichena. Talk about it, because just talking about it alone will heal you. That's not complaining. That's a very healthy thing, and that's the advice of the Torah Kedusha. But to start having ta'anot on Hashem, why you got to do this to me? What? When you'll be God, you'll know. And as Rav Nissim Zitzal used to say, when you have too many questions on God, he takes you upstairs to give you private tutoring. And all of us want to live forever. And when I say forever, it's not realistic. It's a realistic thing, because we all believe Mashiach's going to come, and there's going to be no more death. We'll live forever. Because Baruch Hashem, that the schutas of the Gaon Rav Shach Zitzal, and even though I'm way over time, just Mishum Kvodo, I have to say something over about Rabbi Binyamin Zev Chesed, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. If you want to know what it means to be a humble man, Hashem made me a good story today. He knows every Thursday I need stories, he sends me stories every Thursday. One of my close friends and donors calls me up, and he tells me that he wants to be Mocheh al Kvod HaTorah, to make a statement for the honor of Torah. I'm thinking, who knows what I said wrong this time? What did I do? What trouble did I get myself in? I'm pretty good at that. I said, yeah, okay, let me hear. What's the problem? So he says, I got your flyer today, or whatever, of the shiur. And what is this? They don't even write about you, rabbi, or anything. It just says your first name. Amochel kvod Torah. And then he's my friend, right? So he wants to stick up for me, Kilu. He doesn't know that I made that thing. But he says, I don't want to use the words he used, but you get the idea, who doesn't even know which size Rashi and Tosfot can barely speak English or Hebrew, is already a rabbi, and he's on YouTube, and he's speaking, and they call him all these titles, and you're Yaakov. I told him, Tzaddik, first of all, thanks for sticking up for me, it's so sweet. Number two, just because all those idiots are con artists, so I have to make myself an idiot too. One day, when I'll be a Talmid Chacham, so then maybe. But until then, we stay far away from titles at any cost. I said, but on a day like today, you definitely can't talk to me like that. So he says, why? I said, because tonight's Rabbi Zev Cheshen's Yortzei. He knew who Rabbi Zev Cheshen was. He says, and therefore what? I said, let me tell you a story that Rab Shlomo, my Rebbe, told me about Rav Cheshen, his father. Rav Cheshen normally spoke either in Bnei Brak or in a town called Or Yehuda. Or Yehuda, I think a lot of you might have known. A lot of Buchayins lived there. Yeah, it's true. He used to speak for the Buchayins in Or Yehuda. And once they asked him to speak in Yerushalayim. He spoke in Yerushalayim, but in Yerushalayim he used to speak not the Balei Tshuva. He gave a shiur on Kabbalah. That was closed door. It was private. They asked him to give a general speech for non-religious, whatever, in Yerushalayim. He agreed, but he agreed on a one-time basis. By that shiur, they publicized, they put up flyers. He walks out of his house the morning that they put up the flyers. The shiur was going to be at night. He sees all these flyers all over the place. Harav HaGaon, HaTzadik, Rabbi Zev Cheshen. You know what he did? He went walking around, even though he was elderly and not so well physically, the entire day, from flyer to flyer, cutting out the words, Harav HaGaon. That it shouldn't say any title about him, and nobody should see a title. He went himself. He didn't tell his kids to do it. He went himself from sign to sign around Yerushalayim by foot. He couldn't afford even a driver or anything to cut off the titles. I said, so today you're talking to me about titles? Something's wrong with you? I said, besides, if I remember correctly, it doesn't say Harav Abaye, it doesn't say Harav Rava. It says Abaye, it says Rav. It doesn't say Harav Avraham Avinu, it says Avraham Avinu. So that was named after Yaakov. Yaakov was also called Yaakov. So if it was good for Yaakov, it's good for me. So I have such a beautiful name. Why should I ruin it with such a stupid title? Just by the way, which person would walk around, Shemazan was like that also. He used to walk around cutting out his name from places. He didn't like when his name was up. You know how humble you have to be? It reminds me of another story Rav Shlomo once told me. He was saying a shiur somewhere, this was in Or Yehuda, and a guy who wasn't healthy, he had psychiatric issues a little bit, came into the shiur. He didn't like something the rabbi said. What did he do? In the middle of the shiur, in front of everybody, walked up to the rabbi, slapped him across the face. Some guy in Rav Yaakov Yagen, Rabbi Zev Cheshen's shiur, walked up to us, slapped him across the face. Boom! He was giving a shiur in Or Yehuda to people that have more than 6 packs. They were the guys coming from the streets. They hit their rabbi. You know these people are capable of doing. A Sa'il Azazel would be very gentle to what was about to happen to this guy. And Rav Yaakov Yagen saw with his eyes that this is what's about to happen. He told everybody, nobody moves, not even a millimeter. And he went to the guy and he said, I must have said something that offended you. I want to apologize. And if I offended you, it was in public. So I have to apologize in public, and I need to hear from you that you say you forgive me in public. And then he sat him down near him before he continued the shiur. And Avel, they used to pour him a cup of juice before the shiur, because the sugar and the juice gave him the energy so he should be able to give the shiur. And he took his cup of juice. He said, I didn't drink from it yet. I want to give it to you. Maybe that way you'll feel that I like you and I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Now you understand why he was a tzaddik. Now you understand why he merited to have 10 daughters and sons that were Geonei Olam, Talmidei Chachamim, and lineage, he saw 5 generations of Talmidei Chachamim. From anava like that, from humility like that, comes out a Gdol Hador. From arrogance and having to sit up front and eating this like this and this like that and put all the titles and what is this and why is... Recently I was invited to speak somewhere, but I didn't go just because of this. I overheard, I wasn't supposed to hear this, but Hashem knows that I don't like these things. So they put my picture, which I hate in the first place. But okay, they put my picture. And there was somebody else speaking the same night. They put his picture. The other guy complained why his picture was smaller than mine. When I heard that, I said, I want nothing to do. Not with Yeshua, not with the other guy, not with anybody involved. I said, you're working with Shem Shamayim. Are you guys crazy? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Havelva went cutting his name off. Havelva went serving a drink that a guy who slapped him in public in the middle of a shiur and in the worst way, apologizing to him that he's the bad guy. And the third story that Rav Shlomo would love saying over about his father was, I don't know, most of us probably don't even know what this is, even if we know Hebrew. But once upon a time in Israel, the common means of transportation was something called a Vespa. A Vespa is kind of like an electric bicycle pretty much, maybe a little more powerful than that. But they make them in 2 versions. One has a single thing, and the other one that has like a little attachment on the side, like where somebody else could sit in it. Maybe in the museum today you can find it. If you put in Hebrew on Google Images, Vespa, you'll see a picture of what that is. Kids say that's embarrassing, right? Who uses that? The delivery guy from the pizza shop maybe, I'm saying, but that's not a normal way to go. He was in a shiur in Bnei Brak, and after the shiur, he comes out, and he didn't have money, he used to take a bus back. One of his students gets into Vespa and is about to drive off, sees the rabbi going to the bus stop. He says, what, the rabbi's going to the bus? No way. Stops him, he says, Rabbi, don't go anywhere. I'm going to call a cab, I'll pay him, and he's going to take you to your house. You're not going on a bus. So Avela tells her, I don't need it. He says, there's no need it, I'm calling the cab right now. And he meant it from his heart. There was no respect for the rabbi, he's going to go on a bus. Avela said, if that's the case, he's so determined that I should get home quicker and nicer, what's the problem? And he sits down on the side in the Vespa, he says, take me. He says, I wouldn't let my kid sit here. I'm going to take you. He says, what's wrong? He said, maybe your kid is heavier than me and that doesn't fit, but I fit. You could take me. And Rafael wouldn't get out until the guy agreed to drive him from Bnei Brak to Yerushalayim in a Vespa. I don't know how it made it up the hills to Jerusalem at all. Maybe they had to get out to push it. I'm not sure. And by him, that was simple. That was the way to live, yeah. Okay, so I get it this way. So what's the problem? So what's wrong? And he was never willing to do miracles in public because he was scared that would, people would say he's a miracle maker. But I do know one friend, who's much older than me, who merited a live miracle from him. He was married for 24 years, didn't have children. There was no hope, not medical, not treatments, not this, and we're talking about years ago, forget about it. Even today there wouldn't be hope, but years ago there was nothing. They didn't have all these things. No hope, waste of time, nothing to do. And he went to Rav Elvel many times. Give me a blessing, give me a blessing, give me a blessing. And Rav Elvel always told him, I don't have the power to give you a blessing. God holds the keys of children, it's not in my hands. Never gave him a blessing. Rav Elvel is Rabbi Binyamin Zev, for those who didn't pick that up already. That's his Yiddish name and his Hebrew name. One year was Purim. Rav Elvel used to drink on Purim. Rav Elvel drank a lot. And he came and brought a Mishlach Manot. And he brought him in the Mishlach Manot something that Rav Elvel wanted. It was a Pirush on Likutei Moharan, something that he wanted. Rav Elvel told him, thank you, I wanted this and that. See, he made me very happy. He told him, Rabbi, if I made you happy, Hakarat HaTov says you have to make me happy. Rav Elvel was a little tipsy, he drank a lot, Purim. And he tells him, you're right! How can I make you happy? He says, promise me in 10 months I have a baby boy. And then promise me that in 2 years I have a baby girl, so I'll do the mitzvah pruruvu. I have a boy and a girl. This guy went all out, one wasn't enough. If I'm doing it, I'm doing it. He's 24 years, no kids. His wife had to be 44 years old at least, 42 years old at least. In those days, we're not talking about today. You hear how far-fetched this is? It almost sounds like Sarah Imeinu's story. And Rebbe tells him, why only 2? You should have 4. Who's there? What's wrong? Have 4. The guy said amen and left. A couple weeks later, his wife comes to him, honey, I'm pregnant. He says, this ain't a joke. Because pregnant's not enough. You have so many problems, medical problems, that even if you are pregnant, Hashem Yaakov, it should last. He goes running back to Rav Elva. He says, Rav Elva, the bracha worked. He says, what bracha? He said, from Purim. He said, Purim I was drunk. I didn't give no brachas. And if I did, they don't count. I didn't. He said, I'm telling you, you gave one and it worked. He says, you have a recording? He said, no. He said, so it never happened. He says, so at least could I ask for a blessing now that my wife should have a healthy baby? Because she is pregnant already. He said, yeah, that you could ask for a blessing for. He said, I'll pray for her every day. Give me her name, her mother's name, that she should have a healthy baby. She had a healthy baby. By the Brit, he said over the story. By the Brit, he said over the story. He named the child Nechemia, named after Rav Elva's father. Rabbi Yamzeh ben Rav Nechemia. And he said over the story. And he added in that even though Rav Chesed denies the story, but he promised me 4 kids. He said, I'll have a girl, and then I said, I said, I want a girl, and he said, why a girl? It should be 4. You could believe this or not, but I know the guy, I know the facts, I know the kids. I know the grandchildren also, by the way. They already have another generation. 15 months later, his wife had natural triplets. All 3 were girls. He asked for a bracha for a girl. He said there should be 4 altogether. So what does that mean? The girl should be 3 girls. So he had 3 girls. He has 1 boy and 3 girls. His wife was in her mid-40s, upper 40s maybe even. We're talking about over 30 years ago. Had triplets, all healthy. Once I asked the wife, she's not a youngster right now. She is beyond old age, home age. I said, do you remember when you had the triplets? They were preemies, they were, how small were they? In those days, they didn't really know how to deal with such small babies. She said, what they were then, honestly, I don't remember. I was so happy, they were healthy. I took them home after a few days or a few weeks or whatever it was. I don't remember. She says, but you know my daughters now. They have big families. And all their boys are big. She said, some big physically, some big in Torah, but they're big. And then with her innocence, the innocence of an old, simple Jewish lady who believed in Chachamim, she said, because the rabbi blessed that they should be. And when the rabbi blesses, it's big. And I learned from that a kal vachomer. If Hashem blessed us to be in this world, that means we're great. Because Hashem doesn't make mistakes. We should have a wonderful Shabbat.